Hi, I'm Jack, and welcome back to p5.js. If you haven't seen the previous video, please check it out. I go over programming in p5 in there. Today we'll be talking all about color. So in the web editor, I'm going to replace 400 with inner width and inner height, and this makes the sketch take up the whole screen. And then in draw, I'm going to make a square. So I'll write square 100, 100, 200. To make a square at 100 100 with size 200. Now to control the color of that square, we can use stroke and fill, which I've mentioned briefly before. So fill controls the color inside the square. So I could write fill 100, 50, 75 to change the color inside the square. By default, we use RGB colors. So the three numbers represent 100 red, 50 green, and 75 blue that combine to make this color. These values range from 0 to 255. We can also change the color of the background with this background function. For example, I'll write background 240, 230, 190 to give it a notebook look. Notice it also uses the same RGB values. You can manually enter colors like I just did, but you might prefer a different approach. One way to choose colors is using a color palette. You can use someone else's, or you could create your own. I'm going to grab a color palette from a site called Canva, which I'll link below. Here are our colors, and below each one is what's called a hex code. I'm going to copy those into our sketch to use. I'm going to store all of our colors in a variable called colors. However, we don't know how to store multiple values inside of a single variable yet. To do that, we're going to use what's called an array, and it looks like this. Let colors equal brackets. So the brackets surround everything in an array, and now we can start pasting colors in. Notice that I surround them with quotes because they're strings, and I'll separate the colors with commas. With all the colors in our sketch, we can start using them. To access a color in our array, we can use colors 0. So I can put that inside of fill. 0 means that we're getting the first color out of the array. This number is called the index, and with 4 colors to choose from, that means it goes from 0 to 3. Let's use our second color for the outline of this shape. The outline's color is set by calling stroke, and then I'll pass in colors 1. To make that stroke thicker so we can see it better, you can call stroke weight, and I'll pass 20, and that makes the line 20 pixels thick. Let's use our third and fourth color for another shape. I'll write circle 400, 400, 200 to make a circle at 400, 400 with diameter 200. I'll write fill colors 2 to fill the circle with our third color, and stroke colors 3 to outline the circle with our fourth color. Notice that I call fill and stroke before calling circle, as they change the color of what's being drawn after. Another way you can get a color is by using a color picker. You could use a website, and I'll link one below, or you can use a color picker inside of p5.js itself. So to do that, let's define a variable. I'll call it picker, and I'll just write let picker. Then inside of setup, I'm going to assign it by picker equals create color picker. We have to create it inside of setup, so that's why I didn't assign anything to it right away. Then we can make a third shape that will be filled with that color. I'll write triangle 200, 400, 300, 500, 100, 500 for a triangle with points at 200, 400, 300, 500, and 100, 500. Then to set the fill, we can write fill picker.value. Value function of a picker will return what color is picked. So we can use this color to fill in the triangle. I can also call no stroke, so we get rid of the outline on this shape. I mentioned before that by default we use the RGB color system. We can also use color mode HSB to change the HSB color system. If you want to do this, I'd check out the reference page, which I have up right here. But the gist is that it uses hue, saturation, and brightness to represent a color instead of red, green, and blue. Okay, that's all. Thanks for watching. I'll have a review of this video and the last one on April 2nd, which you can sign up for below. Thanks to Communication Madison for hosting this workshop, and have a good one.